Invocation this evening will be offered by Councilman Walter Hunt.
May we pray? Dear Father, we thank you for everyone gathered in this place right now. Thank you that you know each of us by name and have caused us to walk with you. We say that we are dependent on you and our trust is in you completely. As we surrender ourselves in adoration, we ask that you would come by your Holy Spirit and inspire our hearts today. Come and fill our lives with your love. Fill our conversations with your grace and truth. Fill this meeting place with your presence. We ask this for your glory and praise. Amen.
Without objection, we will suspend the calling of the roll and ask the clerk to record the names of those members present during the course of the meeting. Is there a motion for the adoption of the minutes of the meeting of September 17th? There is a motion and a second. If there are no objections, the minutes of the meeting will stand approved as written. Madam Clerk, are there any messages from the mayor?
It's from the mayor.
Thank you. Members, you will notice on your desk there is a letter regarding the vacancy on the Community Education Commission. Nominations must be submitted to the Metro Clerk at 4 p.m. on October the 8th. Is there a report from the Rules and Confirmations Committee? Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Pro Tem Harmon. Yes, the Rules Committee met and affirmed the following individuals do meet the criteria and are eligible to serve on the Industrial Development Board. Those individuals are Mr. Aubrey Gregory, Ms. Andrea Perry, and Mr. Carnell Scruggs. And with that, I would like to move approval by acclamation for their confirmation.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? And Mr. Aubrey Gregory, Ms. Andrea P. Perry, and Mr. Carnell Scruggs are elected to the Industrial Development Board. Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Pro Tem. The Charter, the Rules and Committee met also for the Charter Revision Commission regarding the reappointment of Mr. Hal Harden, Ms. Lorinda McLaughlin, Mr. Jim Murphy, Ms. Susan Short-Jones, and Mr. David Wilson. The Rules and Confirmation Committee approved by a vote of 6-4 and 0 against, and I would like to move approval.
You've heard the motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? And you adopt. Councilmember Berry.
The Rules and Confirmation Committee met and recommended the appointment of Mr. Ben Jordan to the Transportation Licensing Commission by a vote of 6-4 and 0 against. And with that, I move approval.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? At this time, we would like to recognize those citizens who were confirmed tonight: Mr. Aubrey Gregory, Ms. Andrea P. Perry, Mr. Carnell Scruggs, Mr. Hal Harden, Ms. Lorinda McLaughlin, Mr. Jim Murphy, Ms. Susan Short-Jones, Mr. David Wilson, and Mr. Ben Jordan. Thank you very much for your willingness to serve the city. Next on our agenda are bills on public hearing. The first bill is BL 2013-513, changes 213.96 acres from MUG, CS, CL, OR20, RS5, R6, OL, SP, RS10, and RS7.5 to MUG-A, MUL-A, and OR20A zoning for various properties and a portion of the property located along Gallatin Avenue, Gallatin Pike, and Main Street between South 5th Street and Briley Parkway. In addition, if there is no objection, we'd like to take 513 and 514 together. Seeing no objection, BL 2013-514 applies the Gallatin Pike Urban Design Overlay to 213.96 acres of various properties located along Gallatin Pike, Gallatin Avenue, and Main Street between South 5th Street and Briley Parkway. Councilmember Westerholm.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. I'd like to move to open the public hearing.
All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed? Seeing none on either side, I declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Westerholm.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. I move to close the public hearing.
It is closed.
All right. And I move to move forward for passage.
Gentleman moves passage, properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor vote aye. Those opposed? And you adopt.
Nothing more. I think it's all included there.
Next is BL 2013-538. Sponsors Gilmore and Hunt, changes 6.83 acres from IR to IG zoning for properties located at 1044 Alejandro Place and 905 Visco Drive. Council Member Gilmore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Move to open the public meeting.
Those in the audience, please raise your hand if you're in favor. Please raise your hand if you are opposed. Seeing none on either side, I declare the public hearing closed. Council Lady Gilmore.
Thank you. I move for approval.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? And the motion is adopted. Next is BL 2013-539, sponsors Gilmore and Hunt, changes 0.27 acres from R6 to SP zoning for property located at 1112 11th Avenue North to permit up to 6 residential dwelling units. Councilmember Gilmore.
Move to open the public hearing.
All those in the audience in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed? Seeing none on either side, I declare the public hearing closed. Council Lady Gilmore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Move for approval.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? And the motion is adopted. BL 2013-540, by Councilmember Moore, cancels 0.32 acres of the residential planned unit development overlay district zoned RM20 located at Wedgwood Avenue unnumbered east of 12th Avenue South and proposed for RM20A. In addition to that, if there is no objection, we will take up 541. This changes 0.32 acres from RM20 to RM20A zoning for property located at Wedgwood Avenue, unnumbered, approximately 700 feet east of 12th Avenue South. Councilmember Moore.
Thank you, Speaker Pro Tem. I move to open the public hearing, please.
All those in the audience in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Those opposed? All right. Seeing no one in favor, would those that are opposed like to speak? If you would, please come to the lectern. Please state your name and address.
Good evening. I'm Andy Haley from 1019 West Grove Avenue. We live at one of the properties closest to this proposed development, and the flyer we received in the mail doesn't show any indication of where the parking or driveway access to this property would be. I think you probably would have had a little more people from our neighborhood here tonight if they had any idea of where the traffic is going to be routed to this area. So we're curious about that. There's been a lot of new development in our neighborhood, and a lot of it has not really taken into account traffic and parking, and therefore we're kind of experiencing, for a residential neighborhood, a lot of traffic and parking concerns. So that's our major concern with the development, and that's why we're here to express our concern this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Councilmember Moore.
Thank you, Speaker Pro Tem. I'm going to defer this one meeting with a brief explanation.
There's a motion to defer. Is there a second? Motion and a second. Council Lady?
I too still have some concerns about these two bills, and so therefore I'm going to try to meet with the applicants and also address some of the concerns that I just heard this evening. So again, I've moved to defer one meeting.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed? And the bill is deferred one meeting. Next on the agenda is BL 2013-542, sponsors Gilmore and Hunt, changing .76 acres from SP to SP for properties located at 906 Cheatham Place, 1501 9th Avenue North, and 9th Avenue North unnumbered, northwest of 9th Avenue North and Cheatham Place, to permit up to 15 detached residential dwelling units. Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. You read that so well. I move to open public hearing.
Those in the audience in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Those opposed? Seeing none opposed, do any of those in favor wish to speak? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Council Lady Gilmore.
Move for approval.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? And the motion is adopted. Next on our agenda are the consent agenda resolutions. I will read the captions of all those items on the consent agenda and then call upon you for committee reports. I will say the first item is not on the consent agenda. That's RS 2013-861 by Stein, Hunt, and Potts. We will take that up at the conclusion of the consent agenda. Resolutions on the consent agenda are RS 2013-862 by Stein, approves an application for a Cities of Service volunteering grant from Bloomberg Philanthropies for a program to mentor middle school students. RS 2013-863 approves an application for a state delinquency prevention grant for a program to mentor middle school students. RS 2013-864 approves a grant from the Friends of Two Rivers Mansion to the Metro Parks and Recreation Department to provide a partial funding for a parks employee. RS 2013-865 by Stein and Maynard approves a sole source contract with Zoetis for animal vaccines for the Public Health Department. RS 2013-866 by Maynard approves an agreement between the Metro Board of Health and Aquinas College to provide clinical experience for students enrolled in the nursing program. RS 2013-867 by Stein and Pardue approves an Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to the Metropolitan Police Department for technology upgrades, supplies, and training. RS 2013-868 by Stein and Pardue approves a second amendment to a federal grant from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to the Metro Fire Department to create a professional development program and acquire a driver simulator. I'll take committee reports. I apologize. We have one more. RS 2013-869 by Johnson, Potts, and others recognizes October 21st through October 25th, 2013 as School Bus Driver Appreciation Week in Nashville. Take committee reports. Budget and Finance, Councilmember Stein.
Budget and Finance approved 862, 863, 864, 865, 867, and 868 by a vote of 8-4, none against.
Thank you. Councilmember Glover for Education.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. On RS 2013-862, the committee approved 6-4-0 against, and on RS 2013-863, the committee approved 7-4-0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Maynard for Health Hospitals.
For 2013-865 and 866, we approved 9-4-0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnson.
For RS 2013-864, committee approves by a vote of 4-4 and 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Pardue.
Public Safety approved 2013-867 and 868, 3-4-0 again.
Thank you. Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Rules approved RS 2013-869, 6-4-0 against, and I move approval of the consent agenda.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed? And the consent agenda is adopted. Next on the agenda are bills on... Oh, sorry. Councilmember Tenpenny, did you wish to be recognized?
Yeah, I will when you introduce first reading bills.
All right. I have to go back and get 861. RS 2013-861 by Stein, Hunt, and Potts elects 3 members to the Board of Directors of the Industrial Development Board of the Metropolitan Government. Councilmember Stein.
Committee report, please.
Rules Committee voted 5-4, 0 against, and 1 abstention.
Councilmember Stein.
I move approval.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed? And you have adopted. Now, we are ready for bills on introduction and first reading. There is a late ordinance on your desk sponsored by Bedney, Tenpenny, Blaylock, and Potts, amends the Metro Code pertaining to the conditions applicable to certain automobile-related uses. Councilmember Tenpenny, are you handling this?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Speaker Pro Tem. Would ask for a suspension of the rules on this ordinance. And the reason, the urgency for this is we'd like to get it for first reading tonight so we could have it on the November 2013 public hearing. So we'd ask for a suspension on rules. Thank you.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any objection? Seeing none, all those in favor of suspension of the rules, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The rules are suspended. And we will consider that then along with the...
Would like to move the bill on first reading. Thank you.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? And you adopt. Thank you. Now we're going to take up the remaining bills on first reading. Is there a motion to pass all bills on first reading? Thank you. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? And they are passed. Now we are ready for bills on second reading. BL 2013-526 by Stein and Westerholm approves an amendment to the Metro Code to authorize the establishment of an inline in line of duty clinic. Councilmember Stein.
Committee report.
Councilmember Westerholm.
Committee voted to defer one meeting, 6-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Stein.
Budget and Finance voted to defer for one meeting, 8-4, none against, and I would move deferral.
There's a motion for deferral that's been seconded. All those in favor? Those opposed? And it is deferred. BL 2013-527 by Stein and Westerholm approves a contract with Concentra for operation of the Metro in line of duty medical clinic. Councilmember Stein.
Committee reports.
Councilmember Westerholm.
Personnel voted to defer one meeting, 6-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Stein.
I think we have one more on this one.
Oh, Councilmember Maynard.
Thank you. Health and Hospitals voted to defer by 9-0.
Thank you.
Budget and Finance also moved to defer for one meeting, 8-4, none against, and I move deferral.
There's a motion and a second. Councilmember Tenpenny, did you wish to speak on this? Okay. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? And you adopt. I'm sorry, you defer. BL 2013-544 by Stein and Westerholm amends the Metro Code relative to retiree medical benefits. Councilmember Stein.
Committee reports.
Councilmember Westerholm.
Personnel voted to approve, 6-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Stein.
Budget and Finance voted to approve, 8-4, none against, and I move approval.
There's a motion for approval and a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Garrett.
Mr. Chairman, would you just ask John just to tell us this, what we're doing here?
This is basically a housekeeping ordinance to correct an oversight that was made in the ordinance the council approved in 2012 that went from 5-year to 10-year vesting. That ordinance failed to include a contribution rate for employees that had between 5 and 10 years of service at the time, as of January 1st, 2013. So this establishes a contribution rate of 25% paid by Metro of the premium and 75% of the premium paid by the employee when they retire, if they had between 5 and 10 years of service as of January 1st.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And it is adopted. Next is BL 2013-545 by Stein, establishes the property tax relief program for low-income elderly residents of the metropolitan government for fiscal year 2013-2014. Councilmember Stein.
The Budget and Finance Committee approved 9-4, none against, and I move approval with a brief comment.
There's a motion and a second. Councilmember?
I just wanted to draw attention to the fact that this is a renewal of the work that this council does with our trustee, appropriating money to provide tax relief to those who qualify under the state property tax relief program and whose income doesn't exceed $27,800 annually, and who are 65 and older. This is what we do here in Nashville really is leading cutting edge for the state of Tennessee. There are others who now do it, but we have for a number of years funded this program far and above what the state does, and it does, I believe, help some of our citizens. And I just wanted to make sure that all council members were particularly aware that this had been renewed and they would be getting notices from Mr. Cardwell in the near future about those that live in their districts that qualify for the program. I renew my motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion for approval properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? And it is adopted. BL 2013-546 by Stein and Hunt approves a lease agreement between Metropolitan Government and Christine P. Nall Living Trust for the building located at 339 21st Avenue North to be used for an injury on-duty medical clinic. Councilmember Stein.
Committee report.
Councilmember Hunt.
Planning voted to defer 5 and 0 to track with the budget and finance.
Councilmember Stein.
Budget and Finance voted 9-4, none against, to defer for one meeting, and I move deferral.
There's a motion for deferrals properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, one meeting deferral. BL 2013-547 by Dominy and Hunt abandons 210 linear feet of an existing 8-inch public sewer main and easement and accepts approximately 212 linear feet of an 8-inch public sewer main and easement for property located at 4418 Leland Lane. Councilmember Dominy.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Hunt.
Planning and Zoning approved Bill 547, 540 against.
Councilmember Dominy.
Public Works approved 5-0. And then with that, I move approval.
There's a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? And you approve. BL 2013-548 by Dominy, Hunt, and Scott Davis abandons 172 linear feet of an existing 12-inch public sewer main and easement, 190 linear feet of an existing 2-inch public water main and easement, and accepts 266 linear feet of a 12-inch public sewer main and easement for properties located at 0 and 32 McFerrin Avenue. Councilmember Dominy.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Hunt.
Planning and Zoning approved Bill 548, 540 against.
Councilmember Dominy.
With the Public Works approved 5-0. And with that, I move approval.
There is a motion and a second. Councilman Davis.
I am in full support, and I'd like to thank my East Nashville council members for their support on this, and also my fellow council members on the Public Works and on the planning staff and the Planning Committee and the Public Works Committee. This is for the new amplified building, which is located right in between my district and Councilman Westerholm's. And I just want to thank everybody for the support. Very important project in my district.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, and you adopt. BL 2013-549 by Dominy, Hunt, and Johnson accepts permanent and temporary easements for the Flintlock Court Stormwater Improvement Project for properties located at 171 Bell Road, 2404 Ravine Drive, 904 Flintlock Place, 1009 Flintlock Court, and 1025 Flintlock Court. Councilmember Dominy.
Committee reports on this illustrious bill.
Councilmember Hunt.
Planning and Zoning passed this illustrious bill 540 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Dominy.
Public Works approved 5-0. And with that, I move approval.
There's a motion for approval and second. There is discussion. Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, President Harmon. I also want to thank John Kennedy and all of the stormwater staff for working very hard on this project. This is going to benefit the Nashboro Village area, specifically in the Nashboro Woods neighborhood and the golf community surrounding that. And so with that, I ask all of my council colleagues for your support, but I want to thank everyone for supporting this in Metro Water, because this has been a long-standing project that has been in the works for a very long time, and so it's a relief to know that we're now at the state where we can get something done. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, there is a motion for approval and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, and you adopt. We'll now move to bills on third reading. BL 2013-528 by Claiborne and Stein authorizes the Director of Public Property Administration to accept the donation of property from Pinnacle Business Products, LLC, to be added as green space in the Mill Creek Greenway system. Councilmember Claiborne.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would move approval.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote aye. Aye. Those opposed? And you adopt. BL 2013-529 by Westerholm and Anthony Davis amends the official street and alley acceptance map by abandoning a portion of alley number 277 right-of-way. Councilmember Westerholm.
Thank you. I believe all committee reports are in. Yep. I move approval.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please vote aye. Aye. Those opposed? And you adopt. BL 2013-530 by Councilmember Allen amends the official street and alley acceptance and maintenance map by abandoning a portion of alley number 968 right-of-way and easement. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for approval.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And you adopt. BL 2013-531, Councilmembers Dominy, Hunt, and Harrison accepts permanent and temporary easements for the Whites Creek Stormwater Improvement Project for property located at 2532 Whites Creek Pike. Councilmember Dominy.
Thank you, Speaker. With all committee reports in, I move approval.
There's a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed? And you adopt. BL 2013-532 by Dominy, Hunt, and Harrison accepts permanent easements for the County Hospital Road Stormwater Improvement Project for properties located at 1809, 1811, 1813, 1901, 1903, and 1905 County Hospital Road. Councilmember Dominy.
That was a mouthful, wasn't it? I move approval with all committee reports in.
There's a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, and you adopt. BL 2013-533 by Dominy, Hunt, and Anthony Davis accepts permanent and temporary easements for the McGavick Pike Stormwater Improvement Project for properties located at 1119 and 1121 McGavick Pike. Councilmember Dominy.
All committee reports in. I move approval.
There's a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, and you adopt. BL 2013-534 by Dominy, Hunt, and Langster abandons one sewer manhole and 15 linear feet of an existing public sewer main and accepts one sewer manhole for various properties located along Cartwright Street and Charlotte Avenue. Councilmember Dominy.
All committee reports are in. I move approval.
There's a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, and you adopt. BL 2013-535 by Dominy, Hunt, and Langster abandons 160 feet of a public sewer main and easement and 1,500 feet of an existing public water main and accepts replacement water mains, 5 fire hydrants, and 107 linear feet of an 8-inch sewer line for properties located at 1809 Marina Street and 1807 Albion Street. Councilmember Dominy.
All committee reports in. I move approval.
There's a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, and you adopt. BL 2013-536 by Councilmembers Gilmore, Dominy, and Hunt abandons an existing 96-inch public sewer main and easement and accepts 180 linear feet of a 96-inch public sewer main for properties located at 1800 Chet Atkins Place and 817 18th Avenue South. Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move for approval.
There's a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, vote no. And you adopt.
May I have a point of personal privilege?
Certainly.
I just want to say what a great job you're doing tonight. You look like a natural.
Thank you. Out of order. Next on the agenda is BL 2013-537 by Dominy, Hunt, and Scott Davis, abandons an existing 108-inch public sewer main and a 30-inch public sewer main and associated easements for properties located at 5 Main Street and 110 North First Street. Councilmember Dominy.
Speaker, thank you. And with all committee reports in, I move approval.
There's a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed vote no, and you adopt. Next on the agenda is substitute Bill number BL 2013-543 by Councilmember Scott Davis. This amends the Metro Code pertaining to sponsorships on park property and authorizes the deposit of sponsorship funds. Councilmember Davis.
Yes, I believe all the committee reports are in, Mr. President. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'd like to move the bill as approval with a brief explanation.
There is a motion and a second on the bill. You're recognized for your brief explanation.
Who would have thought a year ago that, actually 2 years ago, when Parkland was flooded that very terrible day in May, actually 3 years ago, it's been so long ago, we've forgotten and we've healed a lot. And a lot of our public parks were damaged. And, frankly, not all of us all the time want to continue to ask the city for more money. And if there's ways for us to fund certain projects for our playgrounds, for our young children, especially in those neighborhoods with high cases of obesity, diabetes, and other health-related issues due to a lack of motion, it's very tough. But when you have corporate sponsorships willing to step up, it is a blessing, especially to a distressed neighborhood like my own. But who would have thought that it will become a political football for certain folks in this council? And no matter what happens tonight, I have respect for these two individuals and their leadership, for they've sat here longer than I have and know more than I have. More importantly, though, I do want to move this bill, but please do not put my small neighborhood in the middle of this political football between probably two of the most powerful men in that community. And I just move for approval.
There is a motion and a second. Councilmember Mitchell.
Yes, I've got an amendment that I would like to bring before the body.
You need to move to suspend the rules.
Yeah, move to suspend the rules.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any objection to suspension of the rules? There are more than two objections to the suspension of the rules, so we will not consider the amendment.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, wait, can I speak?
But you're certainly still
Yeah,
recognized.
I'd like to speak on the bill, and that's fine, when this amendment that I was going to try to bring tonight, the Parks Director was supporting the amendment, and it changed the bill in no form or fashion. All it did, ladies and gentlemen, was to put the money back in the park system so they could spend money on underutilized, underserved areas that don't have any parks, or as Mr. Davis's part, Councilman Davis's part, the maintenance of existing parks. But now, what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give it to private organizations. Let's see, we've got in Nashville, Tennessee, there's 82 baseball and softball fields in Nashville, Tennessee. Of those 82, 52 of them, no one in this body can take your child out on that field and play catch with. That's 63% of all the baseball and softball fields in Nashville, Tennessee. Some private organization that didn't go through an RFP process has control of that park. And if that's not bad enough, we have 67 soccer fields in Nashville, Tennessee, that your taxpayer dollars are paying for these parks, but we've leased them out, 55 of the 67, to private organizations who can't do anything with it. And so 82% of those soccer fields, you can't go out and play kick with your child on those soccer fields. So now this bill tonight that some of you saw fit to not, have the amendment, you can go back and tell your constituents that they can keep paying their property taxes, but 82% of the soccer fields in this city, they can't go out and play with their children on. Or you can go back and tell your constituents that 63% of the baseball and softball fields in this city, they can't play catch or have batting practice with their son or daughter on. Because that's what we did. So what we did tonight is now these private organizations that own a majority of our parks now, because we don't as taxpayers own them anymore, they're going to sell the sponsorship signs on these fences. So the haves are going to get even more, and the have-nots are going to get even less. And some of these organizations, we got some organizations, they don't have $6 in their bank account. Some of these are great organizations, but there's some of them have a payroll of 6 figures for these youth organizations. So we're paying over 6 figures to these people in these youth sports leagues to use our fields that our tax dollar money is paying for, and we're going to continue to give them more and more. My area, my council district, does not have a single baseball field or softball field by the city. We heard about a flood. We have some fields out in our area that are not owned by the city that we had to repair ourselves, that the backstop the water was over the top of that backstop during the flood, ladies and gentlemen. It was over the top of the concession stands.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilmember Garrett.
Previous question, Mr. Chairman.
Motion is for previous question, properly seconded.
Point of order. Can we reconsider the vote? There's a motion.
No. Got a previous question motion has to be acted on. You do actually take a voice vote on the previous question motion.
All right, so we're previous question, properly seconded. All those in favor of previous question say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. It's a machine vote. So we'll take a machine vote on the previous question.
Hold on. It's not ready.
Just a second.
Mr. Pro Tem, that's evidence that the motion fails.
So you're opposing the bill?
You going to oppose the bill?
You're going to oppose the bill?
You going to oppose the bill now?
The machine is open. No, you're voting on previous question.
Now you got to reconsider the bill? You going to vote no on the bill? The amendment can't be
More than 2 objections to
more than 2
suspension of the
objections.
rules.
You can talk on it, though.
Every
Because I'll object all night long now, for sure. Because, hey, Jerry, not a thing he talked about has to do with this bill. Not a thing he talked about is in this bill, has to do with this bill.
He can bring the
It's
bill
just
and do
total
this if he
bullshit.
wants to.
People are getting carried off Westboro.
Machine's broken.
Machine's broken. Okay. Fine. Talk, Jerry.
Just do it by hand.
Just do it by hand. Shut down. Shut down. Shut it all down.
Madam Clerk, please close the machine and announce the vote.
Okay, it's 20 aye, 12 no, and 1 abstention.
So previous question motion fails by 1 vote. So
Previous question fails. So we are back on discussion.
On the bill.
On the bill.
On the motion to approve.
Any other discussion?
Councilmember Holloman.
Thank you, Mr. President Pro Tem. I just want to say first that I think it's great to have a member of the Parliamentarian Society here at the helm during this important time.
It's doing a lot of good, isn't it?
I'm impressed. And I'll yield the remainder of my time to the right honorable gentleman from Bellevue to continue his comments.
Councilmember Mitchell.
As I was saying, I'm sure there was a lot of areas in this city that were flooded, and I'm glad some councilmen had a public park that could be flooded. We would love to have a public park, a baseball or softball field in Bellevue that could have been flooded, but we don't. We've got a lot of tennis courts that are falling apart, the money from this fund could be used to fix the maintenance of those tennis courts. We've got Goodlettsville. We've got the entire city of Goodlettsville that would love to have a baseball or softball field up there. We consider the baseball and softball fields they have up there, you ask them, they'll tell the councilman, well, you got Moss Wright Park. Well, Moss Wright Park, ladies and gentlemen, is in Sumner County. It's not in Davidson County. So we've got a lot of areas in this county that would love to have access to a park or the funds. But we're going to continue to give these few organizations that control a majority of our public parks, that many of our citizens out there don't realize. They see these parks. They can't take their kids into these parks. They can pay their property taxes, but they can't go play baseball or soccer on these fields unless they pay an organization a fee. Well, what if their kid doesn't want to play in a league, ladies and gentlemen? What if they just want to go out on a Saturday afternoon and enjoy that park, like we do other parks? You think if Centennial Park was like that the public outcry would be great? I tell you it would. But people can't do that on these soccer fields. They can't do it on 60-some% of our baseball and softball fields. So instead of rushing through this legislation just so we can hurry and get something done, let's do it right. I heard objections earlier tonight. Well, we don't earmark these funds. We don't like doing that. Well, I hear so many times from so many of my colleagues in here, wish we could tell the school board how to spend this money. Wish we could tell this department of government. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've got the opportunity. You've got the power of the purse string right here if we would just do this legislation right. So we can do this legislation right. I'm going to make a motion that we defer this and re-refer this bill back to committee so we can do this bill correctly and have a bill that benefits all of the county, not just a small few.
Councilmember Mitchell made a motion to defer and re-refer to committee. It has a second. Now we're on discussion of that motion to defer and re-refer. Councilmember Councilmember Evans, did you wish to be recognized on this motion? Councilmember Maynard.
Thank you very, very much. I would like, Mr. Cooper, if you will explain the amendment. Well, because some of us are voting because we are concerned about the opportunity to consider either changing based on the amendment or bringing a later bill or legislation before this council. And so I'm asking if you will, I believe it's very appropriate, if you explain the amendment that would have been presented if it had not been for the objections.
The amendment that was distributed and placed on your desk would have, instead of the sponsorship funds that parks receive, instead of that money going into the general fund, this would require that it go into a designated fund to be used for park land acquisition in underserved areas, park development in underserved areas, or for the maintenance of existing park facilities.
Thank you.
Councilmember Stein.
Mr. Cooper, explain what this bill does.
This is enabling legislation for the Parks Board to develop a policy that would allow for sponsorships of park facilities. It does not dictate how that policy would be set up. That would be under the purview of the Parks Board. All sponsorship agreements that have a dollar amount over $25,000 would come back to the council for approval by resolution.
So it sets up policies that have to do with the Parks Board ability to solicit and acquire sponsorships for the Parks Department.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything in this policy about private sponsorships and private groups that may contract with Parks Department and what they can do?
There's nothing in the ordinance that deals with private entities. There again, that would be up to the Parks Board to set a policy if they chose to do that for groups that utilize.
But the focal point of this legislation is to give the Parks Board the opportunity to do their own sponsorships, correct?
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Councilmember Davis.
The answer.
Councilmember Holloman.
Now I want to ask a question. My understanding, though, is that unless an enterprise fund is set up, which is essentially what the amendment would do, then we wouldn't have any guarantee, except through the normal budgeting process, that these funds would go back for the purposes that were set out in the amendment. Is that correct? If they're over $25,000?
Correct. They would be treated like all other park revenue from wave pool and the golf courses and everything else. It's all lumped together and goes into the general fund, and in the budget, it's listed as revenue generated by the Parks Department, but then that money is appropriated theoretically back to the department through the operating budget.
If we or the mayor's office chooses that during the budgeting process.
That's correct. I mean, theoretically, the council could have a parks budget that's less than the revenue they generate, but that would be a very, very small parks budget.
Sure. Are there other examples in the government where we use these enterprise funds where revenues are collected for a particular purpose and then used within that same department?
A true enterprise fund is one that operates exclusively on its own revenues, such as the water department. We also have
where there's no supplement.
A few, right? We consider the state fair and farmers market. I believe we consider those to be enterprise funds, even though they are supplemented. But a true enterprise fund is one that can operate on the revenue that it generates.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. John, I just asked a question. Do not we already have a system, what they call agencies that produce revenues, and we call them revenue producing agencies like farmers market? Parks already produces revenue, but do we not have a lot of agencies that are already considered revenue producing agencies?
Yes, I mean, most government departments generate some revenue. The difference is whether they're considered an enterprise fund, such as the water department, or just a general fund department that generates revenue that goes into the general revenue pool into the Metro General Fund.
So it just depends on how we name it, but what I'm saying is that over the years, ever since I've been in this government, we've always had revenue producing agencies, and we still have them today. So that's what I want to tell you.
Seeing no further discussion, we are on the motion to defer and re-refer to the committee. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed will vote no. Madam Clerk, would you open the machine, please? Madam Clerk, would you please close the machine and announce the vote?
It is 11 yes, 20 no, and 2 abstentions.
The motion to defer and re-refer to the committee fails. We are now back on the motion for approval, properly seconded. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, vote no. We're going to have to go to the machine. One moment. The machine is now open. Madam Clerk, please close the machine and announce the vote.
It is 30 yes, 3 noes, and 0 abstentions.
BL 2013-543 has passed. Is there any other business to come before the meeting tonight? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved and seconded. We are adjourned.